Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on the 13th of February, 2022. We are blessed to have Bobbie Wilson as our speaker and to guide us in meditation, and Christina Hildebrandt to provide us with music. And we'll start with Christina, please.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So in honor of Valentine's Day coming up, and in honor of the heart, I'm going to play My Funny Valentine, which is not a traditional church service piece, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's very sweet. My funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine. Oh, sorry. Very sorry. Hester, why didn't you remind me we're in a different key? So there will be a slight pause. Okay, let's try it again. You make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? But don't change a hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine, stay, please stay. Each day is Valentine's Day, but don't change a hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine, stay, please stay. Each day is Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Christina. So at this time, we go into prayer again by taking a breath together. Beloved presence, everywhere present, we're so grateful to join together this morning, especially grateful for our well-being and for the focus on our hearts, our sacred hearts, where great wisdom resides, great love abides. And so we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Another piece of music from Christina. How beautiful. Thank you, Christina. So let's open our hearts and our minds to Bobbie Wilson.
There we go. It's good to see everyone again this Sunday. And it is the day before Valentine's Day. And so I'd like to open with a little meditation. So if everyone would just get comfortable where they're sitting, close your eyes and take a nice, sweet breath in. And a long, slow breath out. And scan your body to see where tension's being held. Is it in your shoulders, neck? Are there muscles that are tight? Are you frowning? Are you worried? Is your forehead crinkled? Just let those places totally relax. And now look inside with your mind's eye at your heart. And if your heart is a little tense, you can ask it if it would like to relax. Just soften and open and receive and give from a very relaxed, open beingness. And as you think thoughts and words, allow them to filter through your heart, to be infused with heart energy, love energy, compassion energy, so that when they are heard and spoken, those words take on the fullness of their beingness. And you can let your mind rest with all the little thoughts that dance in it. And they can remain dancing. And we can be aware of them there, but we don't have to connect to them. They can do their thing. As we put our attention fully on our hearts. And so let's take another deep breath in and slowly release. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So today, it's interesting because I've known I was going to speak for several weeks. And so I decided I was going to speak on the divine masculine. But as I started writing this talk, I'm like, but it's Valentine's Day. Shouldn't I be speaking on something about the heart? And I kept getting, you're going to speak on the divine masculine. And I don't know if most of you were here when I spoke last month on the divine feminine. And both the divine feminine and masculine, as you know, are part of each and every one of us. However, sometimes we tend to be more comfortable with one than the other. So I'm going to talk with words and try to describe something that can't be described with words. So bear with me. It's wonderful that humans have developed the spoken word. That form of communication makes it possible to think abstractly, to develop concepts, to describe experiences. Words let us share our pasts and our ideas about our futures. We can share our values and mores through words. But words are the tools of our minds and cannot replace direct experience. For example, I can tell you what an orange looks like. It's got this sort of rough, tactile orange peel. And when you cut it open, it has this kind of pungent, kind of delicious smell, and it tastes sweet and juicy. So I'm telling you all these things, but if you've never experienced the physical orange and eating it, you will still not know the orange. So words cannot give you the experience. They can only point to the experience. And they are subject to interpretation. So our minds receive the words of others, and then they actually do an internal data search through their little mental card file, unconsciously mostly, to link the words that we have heard or spoken or read to something that is already in our minds as a memory or a previous experience. So for example, if I hear the word beach, I remember as a kid when growing up in the East, going to the New Jersey shore and running on the beach and playing on the sand in the cold, cold water and surf and spreading a blanket and having a picnic. And that's been my experience of a beach. But someone else might have a different experience of a beach. Someone who grew up in Alaska might see the beach as cold and windy and rocky and icy. So we have to keep in mind when we speak our words that they are subject to interpretation, and we may not relate to words the same way. And finally, words are not reality. As we said with the orange, words can only point to an experience. Words are symbols, describers of, or pointers to reality. So going forward, bear that in mind, because we're going to explore something today that words can't describe. We're going to explore aspects of the power of God using mere words. So a few weeks ago, when I talked to you about the divine feminine, we looked at the expressions of the divine feminine, which are faith, service, caregiving, nurturing, supporting, purity, strength, unconditional love, and motherhood, creation. Now, those of us who like those aspects, who relate to those aspects, might be more drawn to the divine feminine than, say, the divine masculine, because the aspects of the masculine energy are different. But I want you to keep in mind that all aspects of both the divine feminine and the divine masculine are also aspects of the power of God, because God contains all. So what are the aspects of the divine masculine? It's masculine. the divine, well, masculinity generally is often regarded with some reserve because we have associated masculinity and femininity with gender. We have associated masculinity with males and femininity with females. And in doing so, we have misinterpreted the true nature of the masculine energy of God's power and the feminine energy of God's power. So, in terms of masculinity, we have tied divine masculine energy to the behavior of human men, and the divine feminine energy to the behavior of human women, which we then define using human words. So I found this when I was searching out on the web, some ideas about what is divine masculine. I found this online. I want you to listen carefully and see if you can find possibly some mistakes in here. So I'm quoting from the web. Male energy is direct and projects outward with decisive positive action. It secures, strengthens, and has a giving nature. Female energy, on the other hand, is cyclical. It's directed inward. It nurtures and assures, and it has a receiving nature. Traits of the divine masculine include logic, reason, action, firmness, survival, loyalty, adventurousness, strength, and rationality. Meanwhile, the divine feminine encompasses intuition, nurturing, healing, gentleness, expression, wisdom, patience, emotions, and flexibility. End quote. Now, in the beginning, the first two sentences of that quote, they call it male energy, and they proceed to describe the aspects of male energy, and female energy, and they describe the aspects of female energy. Notice how they use the words male and female interchangeably for divine masculine and divine feminine. This is a common mistake. And I believe this is why we tend to shy away, perhaps from, if we're a woman, from the masculine aspects of ourselves, and if we're a man, from the female aspects of ourselves, because we have confused gender with aspects of God's energy. And it's a common mistake. So yes, the energies of logic, reason, action, firmness, survival, loyalty, adventurousness, strength, and rationality can be exhibited by males and are mostly identified with male behavior. But they are not exclusively male. And notice how when we talk about these aspects that I just ticked off, we instinctively attribute those words with power. And notice when we talk about female or feminine energy, divine feminine, which include faith and caring and I lost my point here, but at any rate, gentleness, healing, nurturing, patience, all of those. When we talk about the feminine, we associate those words with submission. When we do that, those words pull us away from the felt experience of our own divine feminine and masculine. Let me say that again. When we use words around divine masculine and divine feminine energies, those words pull us away from the felt experience of our own divine feminine and masculine. And can there be any energy in the universe that is not contained in God? Can we not have feminine and masculine assigned only to one gender or another. No. All the energy in the universe is contained in God. And if that is true, it is also contained in all of us. We each contain all of these so-called masculine and feminine energies. And we operate using all of these energies daily. So how do we get all mixed up around masculine and feminine? Well, part of it is how we've been taught, how the myth of Adam and Eve has created, and how in Genesis the words used to describe them have been interpreted to mean something that perhaps they don't mean. So I'm going to quote to you how Unity interprets the Bible's description of Adam and Eve and creation. And this is a long quote, so bear with me. Quote, Adam and Eve are, along with the Lord and the serpent, the central characters in the second story of creation with which the Bible begins. That's Genesis chapters 2-4. In traditional Christian belief, they are the perpetrators, especially Eve, of the original sin of disobedience that causes God to expel them and us as their descendants from the Garden of Eden into the separation and suffering of this human experience. Still quoting, metaphysically, in terms of universal spiritual principles, we understand the allegory differently, we in Unity. We don't see this human experience as a kind of global penitentiary, the purpose of which is to punish us. We are as intimately connected with and embraced by the omnipresent energy we call God here in human form as we were in the garden and as we will be in the next spiritual dimension, which Jesus describes as the kingdom of heaven. We are not here to be punished, but to be creative, to make the choices that allow the presence and power of God to express through us, to create the consciousness of that next dimension. To be the spiritual creators that we are here to be requires an interaction of the aspects of divine power working in and through us. The initial Adam, created in this particular story on the first day of creation, is neither male nor female. Adam is created in the image and likeness of God, which means Adam contains all the attributes of masculinity and femininity. In order to work more comfortably and clearly with the creative power of God, the initial Adam energy is separated into two distinct beings, the masculine Adam and the feminine Eve. This is an important point, I think, given how much, and this I'm still quoting, given how much subjugation of the feminine has been justified through history, because Eve was created second. And anyway, she's the one who ate the apple. What happens here is not that a different being to be called Eve is created as an afterthought. No, what happens is that the allness of Adam is separated into two distinct energies. In physical form, this is depicted as man and woman. But in fact, since each of us is an expression of the Christ, which contains all aspects of God, what this means is that the power of God in us is expressing as two complementary entities. We all contain both. Our physical forms simply express the spiritual force that is expressing most strongly in us in this particular life experience. Why? It's hard to describe, but as Genesis suggests, we were lonely as the allness. The creative process that we are about to undertake requires a sense of duality and interplay between different energies, all aspects of the one source. So although misunderstandings of this particular creation story have caused great harm through the millennia since the story first took shape, it remains expressive of a powerful and important spiritual truth. Okay, end quote. So now I'm speaking, when we exist in the duality of this worldly experience, we tend to see ourselves as one or the other. We don't claim our wholeness. And this is so endemic and common to our human experience. And I have an example of this that happened to me a few weeks ago. So we visited our son and his Vietnamese family. His wife is Vietnamese and his mother-in-law, who is Vietnamese, prepared a delicious Vietnamese meal for us. Now, normally at home, Bruce and I share the meal prep and cleanup. One of us cooks and the other cleans up. So at the end of our Vietnamese meal, Bruce starts to clear the table and rinse off the dishes, at which point the mother-in-law vigorously says to her daughter in Vietnamese something to the effect that she should not let Bruce do the dishes. It is not fitting for a man to do this. So we all laughed and explained how we didn't have strict rules for male and female behavior in our home. Well, it was hard for them or for the mother-in-law anyway, to understand and grasp this. It ended happily with Bruce firmly asserting, masculine, his right to help out with the dishes, feminine. And our daughter-in-law was videoing Bruce cleaning up so she could send this to her Vietnamese sisters. And we all laughed because we thought maybe their husbands might want to have a contract out on Bruce for violating the male-female code in their country. So anyway, we tend to do this commonly as humans. We are designed to separate and classify and identify with certain traits. We limit our creativity and power by not letting ourselves embrace the full extent of our power. Let me say that again. We limit our creativity and power by not letting ourselves embrace the full extent of our power. We all contain all of the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies. And we are guided as spiritual beings to express these energies as we encounter the various experiences of life. If we do not claim our full array of the divine masculine and feminine energies that are available to us, we cannot fulfill our divine purpose in this world. Now, that is not to say that we have to avoid our roles and actions that we are guided to express. We can be both Mother Teresa and also Joan of Arc. We can be Buddha and Shiva, no matter our gender. The key is to fall into the energy of oneness and act as that in every and any situation. Unity has this to say about oneness, quote, "Today we understand that there can, by very definition, be no separation from that divine allness. Jesus, among others, taught that worshiping God as a distant source is not enough. We must recognize God everywhere around us and within us and acting as us. There is nothing that is not a part of the divine allness," quote. So we come together as seemingly separate humans playing roles in the theater of life. These roles sometimes call for us to behave in defined ways. But even as we do that, we know within that we are not our roles, not our genders, not our behaviors. We are every energy existing in the universe. Every energy existing in the universe is a part of our being, accessible and necessary to realizing our true spiritual nature. as human men and women, we can move freely in and out of our prescribed roles, as if on a stage in a play, knowing that all the while we are not this role. We are that oneness. And so it is.
Thank you, Bobbie, so much. At this time, we'll hear from Christina.
Hester, let's play a yin-yang song. She's got 2 rows of strings, so maybe she can handle that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christina and Hester. At this time, let us go into our donation of love and light by again taking a breath together, placing our hands on our heart. We become increasingly aware of the love and light within us. Notice how it expands with intention. And we may get curious about the aspects of the divine within us. Those we might name masculine or feminine. Those we might experience as complementary and always available. And as always, we are aware that the sharing of this love and light is with anyone who may benefit. There is no distance, there is no space, there is no time. And so it is. We will hear from Christina.